It's a story about two sisters. So Sophie and her older sister, Libby, who is disabled with cerebral palsy. So it kind of goes between Sophie's diary entries and then Libby's, she's writing a fictional story.
Sophie Adler is 12 and she has to keep a journal. It's her bat mitzvah year, and that's part of the project, is discover what things are important to her. And her older sister Libby, who she adores, is extremely disabled, confined to a wheelchair, can't speak, but because of assistive technology has learned to communicate really well and has a vivid imagination and is brilliant. And the two girls are really close. The older sister Libby is writing a fantasy novel for Sophie's bat mitzvah as a big present for her little sister. And that novel is called The Discovery of Flight.
I really liked Sophie's bat mitzvah speech.
So what happens is when you have a bar or bat mitzvah, you have to give a presentation to the congregation, which is your interpretation of that day's reading from the Torah. And it's the portion where Moses has two siblings, Miriam and Aaron. They criticize him for taking a second wife. And in punishment for the criticism by the two other siblings, God gives Miriam leprosy. And she's outcast by the people because she has leprosy and they're afraid they're going to get infected. So Sophie has a younger sister who's kind of outcast, who has an incurable illness, who's looked at strangely by society, who can't do the normal things. So she looks at how society treats disabled people, people who they see as other.
I didn't really grow up with a religious background, so it was cool to learn a little bit about Judaism and I just thought it was really cool how she used that to try to make sense of what was going on in her life and her sister's life and her family. It was really cool.
The time framework of the book landed up being the bat mitzvah year of this young girl. And she spends a lot of time confronting the Bible, and she's enraged by the patriarchal assumptions of this ancient culture and the way women are always excluded and marginalized.
Sophie was frustrated that she's like, well, why did Miriam get leprosy and Aaron didn't? She's like, what the heck? Why does the woman get punishment and the guy's just like, whatever.
That's one of the things she kicks against, that I kick against, is just our assumptions, that the woman should be subservient to the man, that her main job is maintaining the home and taking care of the children, that the important business of the world should be run by men, that women's voices aren't heard. The feminist future to me would be one where everybody's equal, that gender is not how people are defined or how their role in the world is defined. Their aspirations should not be limited by whatever gender they have.
To get there, we need to try to level with each other and understand each other more. And I think that understanding needs to come from having those difficult conversations, right? And not shying away from those things that make us uncomfortable. And that's just so exemplified in the book, right? With her situation with Libby and the way that she feels like people don't acknowledge her because they feel uncomfortable. They don't know what to say. They're afraid of saying the wrong thing. The more that we can try to understand one another and really have those conversations that need to be had, then we'll keep getting there.